Sounds great. Yeah, it's just a great week for college basketball. Obviously with this week, we've got a really good NC State team and we've got a really good Virginia Tech team. So first up is NC State. And, it didn't take me long to be at Carolina to know how important this game is and how much energy. And what I'm excited about is it's two really good college basketball teams. They're two well coached, but more importantly, just really good players that have committed to the connected whole. And so we've got two good basketball teams on full display on Thursday night. Looking forward to it.
Good morning. What are the matchup challenges that State presents you, and how do you navigate those?
A lot. I mean, they've got a 6-year, multiple 5 years, and some seniors on the roster that are going to be starting. And we've got 4 sophomores and Carly, who hasn't played in front of fans in a long time, right? And so, remember, my sophomores haven't played in front of fans either. So this is a unique environment to play in regardless. But matchup wise, they've got multiple pros, right, that are ready to kind of take that step at some point very soon in their careers. And our guys are still, getting better and better, and we'll grow to that. So, matchup, if it was a 1v1 game, I don't know, because we don't play 1v1, but they got a lot of good players that we have a lot of respect for.
How does Anya's matchup with Canaan differ than it was for Janelle, and how does that change your approach inside?
Obviously Cunane is one of the premier posts in our game. And she's been doing this a long time. And Anya has started in 13 college basketball games, right? And didn't play many minutes last year. So what a great challenge for Anya, a great challenge for her, a great challenge for Malou, who's been playing for a while and will be back. And a great challenge for Z. I mean, we've got a bunch of bigs and Destiny and Liz, and we've got lots of guys that will get an opportunity to play against a premier post. But she's she's a premier post for a reason. She's had a ton of success against a variety of styles, and we know that she'll be anxious to test us against our young guys.
Thanks.
Michael, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So when you're entering a really challenging section of the schedule, 5 of the next 7 games are ranked, 4 of those being on the road. Is there any difference in preparation between that and, say, the second game of the season?
No, I think why our team's been so good is they've been really accountable to what we want them to do and how we want to kind of tinker based on who we're playing. And yet they never lose sight of who they are and what their strengths are and all that. So not really, I have to say, it's a little bit different for me because it's, we've got a lot of media requests and all that, but no, for them, the preparation, today will be our intro to the scout and we move right along.
And with State just announcing that Reynolds is going to be sold out, have you talked to them about that? Because it's going to be a heck of an environment.
Yeah, I mean, it was sold out 2 years ago, my first year as well. So we, unfortunately, no one on this team except for Malou and Jalen were even on that team. But, it's a small gym. And so it doesn't take a lot to sell it out. So we'll play in front of more fans at other places. It's just that it says sold out because it's a small gym. But, like I said, they, we haven't, our sophomores have never played in front of fans, right? And then our grad transfers were at the mid-major environment. So there's sometimes less fans that are involved in that. And then our freshmen, of course, are freshmen. So, we haven't played in this type of environment yet. And it's just the maturation of a young team. And it's one of those steps we need to take together.
Thank you.
Of course.
Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. Happy New Year to you. I wanted to ask you about last year's game. I know Alyssa and Kennedy both had really good games when you guys beat NC State. What does that do for them and their confidence as sophomores, knowing that as freshmen, they had really good games against the top-ranked team and they already beat them? How does that carry over to this year?
Yeah, you hope you don't have a short memory in those type of examples. Remember last year when we played them, Deja I think she played less than 10 minutes. She was very sick. And then Malou didn't play at all because she was sick. So, we had a really young team last year in terms of, Liz and Toddy being true freshmen playing in that environment and played really well. That should help them that they've been in. But again, it's a totally different environment at their place and it's a different year and a different team. So I don't know. You'd have to ask them on how it carries over.
And then I was going to ask for you, now that you've kind of experienced that as a coach, does it make it easier to game plan knowing what you can get out of your players in that type of a game?
Yeah, there were two very different games last year in terms of how they defended ball screens, in terms of how they attacked, how they attacked offensively, literally at our place versus at their place, two entirely different game plans. So we watched, of course, both of those games from last year as well as their games this year. We've got a very good feel for what they do and how they want to play when they're at their best, as they do for us. There's a lot of familiarity. That's what makes rivalry games so fun, is there's such a familiarity with one another that we all know about. So I think there's that comfort level, but yet you make adjustments as the game goes on. And, it's neat. Carly Littlefield was our first year in the NCAA tournament together. Her freshman year, we played at NC State. Her second year, which was my last year with with Princeton, we lost to Kentucky by a few at NC State. So this is Carly and I have been here before. And there was a good crowd both of those nights as well. And then for us to have a chance to come back and play there again is obviously special to her and I as well.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Mike, go ahead.
Morning, Coach, and Happy New Year.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you a bit of a big picture question. When you got hired a few years ago, and even when we started to see the recruits that Kara was bringing in at Duke, we kind of all knew we were going to have 3 top 25 programs here in the Triangle. That obviously happened pretty quickly. So I want to ask you, what's your impression of just the competitiveness and the fact that, all 3 programs, once again, are all in the mix right now in a pretty quick time here?
Yeah, it's really awesome having 3 that are in the top 20 within, I'm not sure the mileage, but it's under 50 miles from one another. That's just really, really special for this region. We've talked about it being a basketball state and a basketball conference, and we're proving it, and like you said, it's been in short time. And I'm just happy for the fans. I'm happy that I don't know if I would have thought 3 years ago that we'd be here this quickly, but I just give a lot of credit to the players that trusted the mission and have put the work in to make sure that we're game ready to be where we're at. But yeah, I challenge any other part of the country to say they've got 3 top 20 teams within 40 miles of one another.
Thanks, Coach.
Jordan, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, kind of looking over State's roster, they have a little bit of a size advantage to kind of what you all play. What kind of challenges will that present for you? And is there any consideration to maybe kind of change up some of your roster management to match some of their size, particularly in the post?
Yeah, that was so kind of you to say it that way. They have a massive side advantage at most positions, to put it that way. You add size, it's a game that's easier played with size. And so they've got size and they've got experience size. Jakia Brown-Turner is a problem. Cunane is a problem. You go right down their roster. They've got size. Their guards are big, even if they're not tall. They're physical, and so if we've got to play together because they've got great physicality. We've got great speed and we've got great spacing, and we have other things. So he's got his own problem to deal with in terms of dealing with our program as well. But how we deal with their size is going to be it'll be a variety of ways. It can't be any one way. There's too good of a team to say this is what we do and we're going to do it no matter what. We've got to have to adjust throughout the game, and our team has been very good at that.
Jonas, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Just to follow up on Mike's big picture question, you said this is a big week for your program as far as basketball games go, but Thursday is a big night for 4 teams playing right here because Duke hosts Georgia Tech. 4 ranked teams are playing. How big is this Thursday night overall for the league to kind of put on notice that we have some pretty good teams playing?
Yeah, how can this be not, if this doesn't excite the state of North Carolina, that's really sad, because there is, like I said, I challenge any other region to talk about to be able to see so much good basketball, talented players from all over the country who've chosen to play here in the Triangle and are doing it against very good teams over and over and over again. And so to be a part of that, I've got great pride in that for this program. I took this job because I thought Carolina had to be good at women's basketball to grow our sport. And I've devoted my life to this sport, and a school like Carolina being good helps the game. And to know that we get to do it in a region that people care about basketball, we're just bringing more and more eyes to the ACC, which I think is a premier basketball conference. So yeah, they're all big weeks, but when 2 of them get to play each other, it makes it really cool.
Mitchell, go ahead.
There's the unmute button.
Welcome to Zoom, dude.
Yeah, I know it's Christmas break, got a little rusty. I was just looking over kind of some of the box scores again, and just the defense has been awesome this year. I think only 3 times have you guys allowed teams to score over 60. When did it kind of become apparent that, this was maybe the identity of this team, that you guys were just going to be suffocating on defense?
Yeah, in a couple different ways. One of which is we want to win a national championship here, and defense travels. And so you got to be able to travel and win. And so that's just going to be a foundation as we continue to climb there. And then you look at your roster, and you've got Kennedy Todd Williams is one of the very best defenders I've ever coached. She's long. She's got great positioning. She utilizes her angles really well. She can guard multiple positions, right? And then you think about Carly from the point guard spot. She's one of the best defenders I've ever coached, right? And then you look at Alyssa, and she's one of the more active defenders I've ever coached. So you also have the pieces to have a really good defensive team. So if you add that with the mentality that our goals need to match, our work needs to match our goals, and defense travels. So yeah, it's been a very intentional part of our process. It's, we started in June, and that was where we started. We knew we could score. And so we didn't focus much on that. We focused on building our identity in one block at a time.
All right, RL.
Can you contrast the 2 games last year? What went so much better in Chapel Hill? I know Alyssa had a good game. How much was the difference just the way you played, and how much was it what NC State did differently in the way they defended you in Raleigh?
Yeah, we didn't make shots the second time at all. We made shots the first time. Conversely, they didn't make any shots the first time we played. And that really helped us. They've got multiple guys 4 at a time that are shooting over 40% from 3. That's a really good average when those shots are worth more than 2s. And so I'm actually not as worried about Cunane as I am the others, right? And then at their place, we just didn't make shots. Janelle got in early foul trouble. She had 2 fouls against Cunane early. Our roster wasn't as deep or talented as this roster, so we really had a tough time overcoming any sort of foul trouble last year. I think we have more pieces this year. We're more mobile. We couldn't generate anything in early. We didn't have a lot of foot speed. And so the transition game was not a part of either game at the way it needed to be, where it can be this year. Really the shot making was a huge part of both of those games.
Seems like perimeter shooting will be a big key for you all on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a low post dominant team, right? And so, which is fine because Cunane would take care of that probably pretty well anyway. And so we'll have to make shots and share the ball and move the ball. And also we'll have to make things difficult for them. You never want to go into a game, any game, and say, we're going to outscore you. That's a challenge, right? You want to be able to be two-way so that if the game requires us to get more stops, then we're better defensively. If the game requires us to score more, then we're better offensively. But, this is the first team in 3 years that actually is a true two-way team. Which is always a little bit more exciting to go into a game knowing that you have both sides of the ball.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Mitchell, go for it.
Yeah, I just had one more.
Sure.
I'm looking at Deja's kind of recent stats and stuff, and last year she was a freshman and she was surrounded by these 2 graduate transfers who took a lot of shots and kind of had the leadership role. Seems like she's kind of stepped into that role this year. Have you seen that, and what kind of steps has she taken this year to really grow her game?
Yeah, I said at the media day with the ACC, I think I was talking to you as well, but I said, I think we're a better team than people think. I said, I think my grad transfers are better than people think, and our sophomore class is a whole lot better than people think. And I think because Deja was on the all rookie team last year, I think people assumed I meant the other ones. Deja also is much better. Last year she was our only point guard, so she was playing the 1. And the pace of play affected her vision a bit, right? She was still adjusting to college pace, which was also shooting and everything else. And now with the emergence of Carly Littlefield, Deja can play the 1 and the 2 and can ebb and flow, and the ball moves better. And Deja is better. She's better adjusted. She's adjusted to the college pace, so she can facilitate with her vision better. She's shooting it better. She's playing with more confidence. I mean, all of those things. And when you think about Anya and Kennedy Todd and Alyssa, and Z from last year versus this year, they're different players. They're better, thank God. Right. And then, but yeah, I think Deja is, she's one of the great guards in our league, and she just continues to prove it. And I think sometimes because she struggled last year, people are like, I mean, what happened? It's like she was a freshman playing in the ACC starting. There's not a lot of freshmen that start in the ACC on an NCAA tournament level team at the 1, right? And so she's gotten a lot of experience from that. We've watched a lot of film. She's watched her freshman season over and over and over again on film with me, and she's a better player now, and we're better because of it.
How much did I guess just having this real off season this past summer?
Oh, the best. Can you believe it?
Is
Like,
that a big difference?
huge. I mean, I felt so bad. I mean, last year we were playing freshmen without having a chance to have worked with them, right? And so then you're like, gosh, Tati can't handle the ball well enough, or, you know, Deja's can't get to her spot at game pace, or isn't getting her 3-point shot off correctly, or whatever, right? And Anya, her footwork, and so we were able to break their games down and build them up to where layer by layer to where they're effective now. And so the off season of a 5-month off season in our game, if it's used properly, you become a very different player year to year. And part of the success I've had is that my players have gotten so much better, right? I saw some statistic that I'm the only coach that has had 2 straight top 10 draft picks, and one came from Princeton and then Steph Watts. It's like, yeah, players get better if they put the work in. I'll meet you halfway there. And having an off season allows me to do my job. So that was very helpful.
All right, anything else? Okay, thanks everybody for jumping on.
Can't wait to see you guys Thursday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, y'all. See you
Thanks,
Thursday.
Coach, appreciate you.
Can't wait.